Hey there! Tonight we're diving into one of the darkest and most absurd chapters of human history, the medieval witch hunts. And before you get too comfortable thinking this will be about pointy hats, broomsticks, and cute black cats, let me shatter that illusion right away. This is not fantasy. This is not Harry Potter. This is brutal, grim, and terrifyingly real. You are about to see just how easily an ordinary person, yes, even you, could be accused, tortured, and burned alive all without ever having brewed a single potion. So before we begin, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you enjoy this kind of dark history. And tell me in the comments, where and when are you listening from? Now put on your headphones, set a comfortable volume, and let's begin. You open your eyes in a small medieval village, somewhere between dense woods and muddy fields, where life is ruled not by logic, but by fear, superstition, and endless gossip. The year? It hardly matters. Any year from the late 13th century to the early 17th century will do. The timeline of witch hunts was long and merciless. You're not a powerful sorceress. You're not even a cunning herbalist. You're simply, an ordinary woman trying to survive in a world where the wrong glance, the wrong word, or the wrong weather can land you on a pyre. Perhaps you're a widow. Perhaps you're a young woman with no husband. Perhaps you're married but childless, or too old, or too poor, or too clever, or too quiet, or too loud. The list of reasons for suspicion is infinite. Have you ever gathered herbs? You're a witch. Do you have a cat? Witch, do you know how to cure a headache? Witch, did your neighbor's cow die after you argued with them? Witch, did a child fall ill after you looked at them? Witch, the terrifying thing is you do not need to do anything wrong, because innocence is no defense when fear has gripped the hearts of your neighbors. The witch hunts are not about catching real witches. There are no real witches here. They're about control, about fear, about scapegoating, and about the grotesque human tendency to destroy what it does not understand. The men who hunt witches, the inquisitors, the judges, the priests, are driven by a toxic brew of piety, ambition, and sadism. The villagers who whisper behind your back are driven by envy, by old grudges, by paranoia. The laws that allow this madness are vague and brutal, designed not to find the truth, but to extract confessions, no matter how false. And you? You're caught in the middle of this swirling storm. You may think you can stay safe. You may think that if you keep your head down, attend church, smile at your neighbors, and do no harm, you will avoid suspicion. But tonight, we will see just how fragile that hope is. Welcome to the witch hunt. Your survival guide begins now. Though I warn you, in this world, there's no truly safe path. You may think that the first rule of surviving a witch hunt is to behave yourself. But no, it begins with something far more mundane and far more insidious. Geography. Where you live can be a matter of life and death, though no map will show you where the invisible borders lie. A bustling medieval city, with its teeming crowds, merchants, guilds, and constant comings and goings, offers a kind of anonymity. In a city, you are one among thousands. Your neighbors barely know your name, let alone the shape of your nose or the sound of your cat's mewl. There, suspicion has too many targets to settle firmly on one head, at least for a time. But in a village, you are trapped in a suffocating fishbowl of prying eyes, wagging tongues, and festering grudges. There are no secrets in a village. Everyone knows who spoke sharply at the market, whose cow limps, who bled too long after childbirth, whose garden flourishes suspiciously well in bad soil. And in such a place it takes only one foul wind to turn a simple misfortune into a witch's curse. You might think to yourself, then I shall move to the city. But moving is itself suspicious. Why would a good woman leave her home and kin unless driven by guilt, by shame, by some dark secret. And if you stay, the walls close in. In villages, the line between community and mob is as thin as a spider's web. A bad harvest, a string of stillbirths, a sudden illness. All these need an explanation. And humans, in their deep fear of randomness, prefer the comfort of a scapegoat to the chill of uncertainty. You can be the scapegoat in an instant, whether or not you have ever touched a cauldron or chanted a word in Latin. Your home itself becomes a silent accomplice to your doom. Is it too far from the church? Too close to the forest? Does smoke rise from your chimney at odd hours? Perhaps because you rise early to bake or tend the sick. Are your shutters closed when they should be open, or open when modesty would suggest they be closed? Every detail is fuel for suspicion, and once the fire starts, it spreads with terrifying speed. The very walls that shelter you can trap you when the knock of the bailiff comes, when the mob gathers with torches, when the priest's voice thunders from the pulpit about the devil's servants in their midst. And do not think a remote cottage in the woods will spare you. That path leads only to a quicker accusation. The woman who lives apart is already halfway condemned. Her solitude interpreted as secrecy, her independence as unnatural pride. The old woman at the edge of the village, the widow who tends her herbs, the spinster with her hens and cats. These are the first to burn. The village needs only the barest excuse to turn the isolated into the damned. No, your first rule is simple and cruel. Live among others, but not too closely. Be known, but not notorious. Be helpful, but never too skilled. And even then, remember, the ground beneath your feet is never truly safe. One death, one drought, one whispered word can turn your home from sanctuary to snare. In the world of the witch hunt, even the soil itself seems eager to betray you. In the modern world, pets are companions, comfort, even family. But here, in the bleak absurdity of the medieval witch hunt, they are perilous proof of guilt. You may have thought to ease your lonely life with a cat, a bird, perhaps a little toad in a bowl. Think again. The wrong animal in your house, or even near it, can be the spark that lights the pyre beneath your feet. The very creatures you once stroked absent-mindedly become your accusers, mute but damning in the eyes of your neighbors. In the church, cats are the most dangerous of all. Black cats, especially, though any color will do if fear is strong enough. In the twisted logic of the times, cats are familiars, demonic spirits in animal form sent by Satan to aid his witches. If your cat hunts too well, it is unnatural. If it catches no mice, it is a sign of sorcery. If it crosses a neighbor's path before misfortune strikes, the cause is obvious. You and your feline servant are to blame. Even if you own no cat, the mere sight of one, loitering near your door, can bring suspicion. And heaven help you if children say they saw you speaking to it. But cats are not alone in this grim menagerie of risk. Birds, too, carry danger. A raven perched on your roof, a magpie that follows you through the fields, even an owl hooting in the night. All can be seen as portents of witchcraft. Toads are worse still. The humble toad, a symbol of poison and darkness in the medieval imagination, is practically a confession in itself. If one is found near your hearth, expect the bailiffs within days. Dogs may seem safer, loyal, and familiar, but even they are not beyond suspicion. A dog that growls at a priest, a dog that limps without cause, a dog with an unusual coat or eerie eyes, all can become your doom. You may think to avoid all pets entirely. No animals, no risk. Simple, but simplicity is a trap. A household without animals can appear just as suspicious. Why no cats in a village plagued by rats? Why no dog to guard your door? Why no hens to scratch in your yard? A barren home is unnatural, worse, It may be said that you have no need of animals because your demonic powers serve you instead. And so you are caught again. To have a pet is dangerous. To have none is dangerous. To live is dangerous. Even wild creatures beyond your control can betray you. A fox glimpsed on the edge of the forest, a strange bird seen flying above your house at dawn, a snake in a well. These are omens, and a village is always hungry for omens. Someone will remember that you looked toward the forest that morning. Someone will whisper that you have been seen gathering herbs at twilight. Someone will suggest that the animals answer your call. And when the inquisitor arrives, he will ask, "Have you kept a familiar? Has an animal come to you in your dreams? Has one spoken to you in the voice of the devil?" It matters not how you answer. The mere asking is a stain. A child may say they saw your cat leap through the window and vanish. A neighbor may swear that your dog's eyes glowed red by moonlight. And under torture, you may confess to anything, even to stroking the fur of a demon disguised as a tabby. In this place, in this time, even your pets cannot be trusted. Worse, they cannot save you. They can only damn you. You may think yourself clever, careful, cautious. You may tell yourself that you will avoid pets, avoid strange behavior, avoid the public eye. But there is one danger that is almost impossible to avoid, one silent snare lying in wait for every woman of your time. Herbs. The very earth itself is treacherous beneath your feet. Fields and forests offer plants that soothe pain, heal wounds, calm fevers. But to touch them, to gather them, is to court suspicion in a world where medicine is. Primitive and priests preach that illness is a punishment from God. Any knowledge of healing can be seen as unholy. And yet, life demands such knowledge. A mother must know which leaves ease a child's colic, which flowers can bring down a dangerous fever, which roots help a difficult birth. No apothecary serves your village. The learned physicians with their Latin books and gilded tools are far away in cities, serving nobles and kings. Here, among mud and hunger, women tend the sick as they have for centuries, with herbs, with teas, with poultices. And so every village has its wise women, its midwives, its herbalists. But wisdom is a dangerous thing when ignorance holds the torch. Your garden may be your downfall. The plants you grow will be watched. Feverfew, yarrow, mugwort, belladonna, wolfsbane. Their very names can be a sentence. A simple sprig of St. John's wort hung to ward off evil spirits. A bundle of rue tied above a cradle. A wreath of elderflower at your door. All harmless, all common, all damning when the whispers begin. Even the most innocent plant may turn against you. Chamomile for tea, lavender for linens, thyme for soup. When fear takes root, nothing is safe. A jealous neighbor may say, "I saw her plucking herbs by moonlight," and that is enough. Worse still are the accidents you cannot control. A child falls ill after tasting berries from your yard. A cow sickens after grazing in your meadow. A traveler stops at your door, drinks your offered tea, and dies on the road, from plague, from poison, from fate. But fate is no defense. The dead tell no tales, but the living will tell plenty. They will say you cursed the child, hexed the cow, bewitched the stranger. And when the inquisitor comes, he will demand to see your herbs. He will find them, for how could he not? Dried bundles in your rafters, roots hanging in your kitchen, bottles on your shelf. Ordinary things suddenly sinister. And what a forest! You may think to gather in secret, to slip among the trees at dawn or dusk. But eyes are everywhere. A shepherd boy may see your basket. A woodsman may follow your path. Children may whisper of a woman in the woods, and the tale will grow in the telling. Soon they will say you dance with spirits, speak with the dead, consort with the devil beneath the ancient oaks. The herbs in your basket will be no defense. On the contrary, they will seal your guilt. Why would a good Christian woman gather such things? Why would she walk in shadowed places, touch the earth with knowing hands? Even your body may betray you. The scent of lavender on your skin, a green stain on your fingers, a faint bitterness on your breath. All are signs to those who seek them. The midwife who eases a birth with raspberry leaf tea. The healer who soothes a wound with comfort salve. The wife who brews a simple cough syrup. Each stands one whisper away from the pyre. And when the cry goes up, which? Herbs become proof, not remedy. You may think to burn them all, to scrub your house clean, to swear you know nothing of such matters. But then comes another danger. Ignorance is also suspicious. A woman who knows no remedies, who cannot even brew a fever tea. What sort of mother is that? What sort of neighbor? Why does she hide her knowledge? What does she fear? And so you are caught once more. To know herbs is dangerous. To know nothing is dangerous. To live is dangerous. In this world, there is no safe path. The earth beneath your feet is poisoned with fear. The plants that once sustained your family may now betray you. And as the Inquisitor's men drag you from your home, your neighbors will point to your garden, your baskets, your drying herbs, and they will nod and say, "We knew it. We always knew." There are many ways to die in a witch hunt, but none so insidious as the slow, creeping death of reputation. And nothing ruins a reputation faster than missing church. In a world where faith is not merely a personal matter, but the very fabric of communal life, to skip a mass is to tear that fabric and to draw eyes upon yourself. You may think yourself pious enough. You may believe that one absence due to illness or grief will be understood. You would be wrong. In this place, in this time, church attendance is not about faith. It is about being seen, about performing your belonging, about proving again and again that you're not a threat. And the village watches with sharp, eager eyes. It begins with a whisper. The priest notes your empty seat. The neighbor to your left leans into the one on your right. Did you see? She was not here this morning. No one asks why. No one wonders if fever kept you abed, if your child was ill, if your husband needed tending. Compassion is not the currency of the age. Suspicion is. And so the whisper grows. One missed mass becomes two in the telling. Soon it is said that you often avoid the church, that you are seldom seen at prayer. The reasons cease to matter. The fact is enough. And when you do attend, the danger does not fade. On the contrary, it grows. Every movement is watched, every gesture judged. Do you cross yourself correctly? Do you kneel with sufficient humility? Do you bow at the right moments, recite the prayers in proper form? A slip of the tongue, a wandering glance, a moment's hesitation. These are not small things. They are signs, signs that you are other, signs that your heart is false, signs that Satan whispers in your ear. Nor can you trust the priest. Though a man of God in name, he is also a man of his time, and of his own fears and ambitions. A zealous priest eager to cleanse his flock may see witches where none exist. A frightened priest may point to you to save himself from scrutiny, and a corrupt priest may accept a bribe to turn suspicion toward you and away from another. Your soul is not his concern. Your usefulness, as an example, as a scapegoat, is. Even the timing of your arrival is perilous, too early, and you are trying too hard. Too late, and you are careless, insolent. Standing in the back marks you as aloof. Sitting in the front may be seen as prideful. To speak with the priest after Mass can be interpreted as currying favor or confessing guilt. To leave swiftly is to flee from judgment. To linger is to court gossip. Every choice is a trap. Your clothing, too, betrays you. A new dress. How did she afford that? A worn dress. Has she fallen into poverty, perhaps through witchcraft? Jewelry invites envy and accusation. Bare hands invite pity and scorn. A head uncovered may be called immodest. A head covered too tightly may be hiding something worse. You dress for mass as for a battlefield, knowing that no choice is safe and no victory is final. And when disaster strikes, and it will, the memory of your absences will rise again. A storm destroys the harvest. A child dies in its cradle. The old man on the edge of town falls into madness. And someone will say, "She has not been seen in church." It will not matter that you were there the Sunday before, or that you knelt through every prayer. The story has taken root, and in this soil, it grows fast. A skipped mass months ago will become a pattern. A single fumbled prayer will become proof of heresy. A shadowed glance at the priest will become evidence of a pact with dark forces. You may think to redouble your devotion, to attend every mass, to pray more loudly, to bow more deeply. But even this is a danger. Zeal is suspicious. Piety that draws attention can be seen as false, as a cover for guilt. The villagers remember. They remember who you were before the whispers began. A sudden change in behavior is a sign that you have something to hide, and so you are trapped once more. Attend church and risk notice. Miss church and risk accusation. Stand out and be condemned. Blend in and still be condemned. In the world of the witch hunt, faith is no shield. Piety is no protection. The church itself, meant to be a sanctuary, is another stage upon which the drama of suspicion plays out. And as the bells toll and the faithful gather, you must walk among them, head high, heart racing, knowing that salvation is no longer found within these walls. Only danger waits here. Danger and the slow, inexorable tightening of the noose around your neck. There is a peculiar cruelty in a world that demands ignorance as a virtue. You may think that knowledge of reading, of writing, of healing, of the world beyond your village would elevate you above suspicion. You may think that clever words and sharp wit can shield you from the dull blades of gossip and fear. But here, in the grim absurdity of a medieval witch hunt, intelligence is a mark of danger. To be too smart is to be too threatening. To know too much is to know the devil. And in a society where most stumble through life in darkness, even a flicker of light draws the mob. Consider this. In your village, perhaps only the priest reads. The bailiff may sign his name, but poorly. The peasants cannot read the scriptures they hear, nor the laws that bind them. Their world is oral, built of stories and memory. And in such a world, a woman who can read is unnatural. What books does she keep? What secret knowledge does she hoard? To read is to speak with unseen voices. To write is to cast spells and strange symbols. And so the simplest act, a letter penned, a book owned, can become a rope around your neck. But the danger runs deeper still. Even without letters, cleverness itself is suspect. A woman who argues too well is defiant. A woman who speaks with too much clarity is immodest. A woman who remembers too much is dangerous. The village thrives on ignorance. Its rhythms, its rituals, its hierarchies depend upon unthinking obedience. To question the priest's sermon, to suggest a more effective remedy, to recall an old law that others have forgotten. These are not virtues. They are provocations. And the clever must speak carefully, if they speak at all. A jest can turn to insult in the mouth of another. A harmless observation can become a blasphemy once passed from ear to ear. Sarcasm is a blade that cuts both ways, and it is the wielder who will bleed. You may think to charm your neighbors with wit. You may think to ease suspicion with clever tales, but every word you utter is clay in the hands of the fearful. They will shape it as they wish. Even silence is no refuge. A woman who speaks too little must be hiding something. A woman who listens too closely must be gathering secrets. In the fevered minds of the village, cleverness is a net, a web spun to ensnare the innocent. And when misfortune comes, as it always does, the clever woman will be the first named. Why? Because she understands too much, because she sees too clearly, because she makes others feel small, though she may never intend it. Worse still is any skill beyond the ordinary. A healer whose remedies work too well must have aid from dark forces. A midwife who delivers healthy babes when others fail must have bargained with the devil. A seamstress whose patterns are too fine. A cook whose dishes are too flavorful. A singer whose voice stirs too deeply. All invite envy. And envy, in this place, is fatal. And so you must dim your light. You must feign forgetfulness. You must stumble over prayers you know by heart. You must let others speak first, even when they are wrong. You must laugh at foolishness and nod at ignorance. You must bury your books, dull your words, hide your gifts. For every truth you reveal, every talent you display, is another brick in the case against you. And when the day comes, and it will, when you are dragged before judge and crowd, trembling and stained by falsehoods, they will say, "She was always too clever. She always thought herself better than us." And the crowd will jeer and nod and cheer your destruction. For here, in this world, it is safer to be a fool than to be wise, safer to stumble than to stride, safer to fade into the background than to shine. In the medieval witch hunt, knowledge is not power, it is peril. In a world riven by poverty, disease, and endless misfortune, it is natural to wish to help. A sick child, a laboring mother, a neighbor struck by sudden fever. The instinct is to offer what little you can, a kind word, a warm broth, a poultice of herbs, a whispered prayer. But here, under the shadow of the witch hunt, even charity curdles into crime. To help is to risk everything. For aid that succeeds invites envy, and aid that fails invites blame. In a village ruled by fear, your kindness is a blade poised against your throat. It begins innocently enough. A neighbor knocks in the night. Her baby burns with fever. You brew a tea, lay cool cloths upon the child's brow, murmur soothing words. If the fever breaks, all is well for a time, but gratitude fades faster than suspicion. Soon the whispers begin. Why did her remedy work when others failed? What secret knowledge does she possess? Whose aid does she call upon in the dark hours? And when the child sickens again, as children often do, the parent's gratitude will sour into fear. Perhaps they will whisper, "It was not healing at all, but a charm, a trick, a binding spell." And should the child die, through no fault of yours, the path to the stake is swift and sure. They will say you meddled with forces beyond your ken, that your herbs were tainted, your touch cursed, your intentions foul. No one will remember the night you sat by the cradle, weary and weeping. They will remember only the grave. The same doom follows every act of aid. Help a cow give birth, and if the calf is stillborn, the farmer will say you hexed it. Bind a wound, and if it festers, the family will claim your salve was poison. Braid protective charms from simple straw and thread, and when misfortune strikes, those charms become the very proof of guilt. Even the bread you bake for a hungry widow may be called a cursed offering if her house catches fire the next month. You may think to avoid these dangers by helping only those you trust, but trust is fragile beneath the weight of fear. Friends may turn to save themselves. A sister may whisper against you to shield her children. A grateful neighbor may, under torture, confess that your kindness masked a darker purpose. No bond is safe when the inquisitor's men come knocking, and the church offers no sanctuary. To perform charity in the name of Christ is to invite the priest's scrutiny. He will ask, "Why do your prayers heal when his do not? Why do your hands soothe when the relics of saints fail?" His envy is a sharper blade than any villager's fear. A pious woman who heals where the church cannot is a threat to both faith and authority. And in such a world, threats are swiftly destroyed. Even refusal is perilous. Deny aid to a supplicant, and they may cry that you curse them in anger. Turn away a child, and when that child falls ill, the mother will swear it was your doing. Withhold your knowledge, and you will be called cruel, unchristian, and thus suspect. You are caught in an endless snare. To help is dangerous. To refuse is dangerous. To live is dangerous. And so you must learn the cruelest lesson of survival. Harden your heart. Turn away those in need. Let the fevers burn, the wounds fester, the misfortunes unfold. Teach your hands to tremble and your lips to falter when asked for aid. Teach your eyes to hold no knowledge, your voice to offer only hollow prayers. For every act of kindness sows the seeds of your undoing. In this place, compassion is not virtue. It is a noose. And when the villagers gather, when the charges are read, when the flames rise, they will say, "She was always eager to help, too eager. Who knows what bargains she made, what spirits she called?" And you will know, in your final moments, that mercy is a sin in a world ruled by fear. There's an old saying, "Keep your friends close and your enemies closer." In a medieval village where witch hunts bloom like mold in a damp cellar, this is not a proverb. It is survival. You have no true friends here. You may believe you do, but when the cry of witch rings out, friendship will wither under fear's relentless gaze. Those who smiled at you yesterday will avert their eyes tomorrow. Those who once sought your counsel will cross themselves when you pass. And your enemies, the ones who always watched you with envy, with bitterness, with old, festering grudges, they're the ones you must see, know, and watch in turn. For they will be your downfall if given half a chance. Who are your enemies? They are not always obvious. The sharp-tongued old widow at the market stall may sneer, but her words carry little weight. No, the true danger lies with those who smile too sweetly, who speak your name too often, who nod too eagerly at the priest's sermons on sin and temptation. The rival housewife whose husband once glanced at you too long. The landless brother whose cattle strayed onto your field. The village elder whose advice you politely corrected in public. Envy is a poison that needs no great wrong to grow. Only the small slights and stumbles of daily life, each drop adding to the bitter cup. And then there are the more dangerous foes still, those with power or who seek it. The priest, eager to cleanse his flock and prove his zeal to his superiors. The bailiff, whose heavy hand needs little excuse to fall. The local noble's steward, whose eye lingers too long or whose purse grows thin. These are men who can turn a whispered word into an official charge, whose authority will silence your defenders before they speak, and they need not hate you. Indifference is enough. You may simply be useful, an example, a scapegoat, a pawn in some larger game of politics and piety. You must know these people. You must study them as a hunted stag studies the movements of the hounds. Learn their habits, their grudges, their fears. Nod at the steward's foolish jokes. Praise the priest's sermon, no matter how empty. Offer a small gift at the bailiff's feast, a loaf of bread, a jar of honey. Not too grand, that invites envy, but not absent either, which invites notice. You must tread a narrow path between invisibility and presence, between submission and pride. But knowing your enemies is not enough. You must guard against creating new ones, often without even knowing it. Refuse a dance at the village feast, and a jilted man may whisper that you hexed him. speak sharply to a gossiping neighbor, and she may nurse that wound until the day she can repay it with a pointed finger and a tearful accusation. Lend silver and expect its return, and your debtor may buy safety with your ruin. Every interaction, every word, every glance is a potential snare. You must learn to smile blandly, to flatter without seeming false, to yield without appearing weak. It is an endless performance, a mask you dare not lower. And yet, even this careful dance is not foolproof. You may think that by currying favor, by placating the powerful, by weaving yourself into the village's web of obligation and courtesy, you will be safe. You will not. When the winds of fear blow strong enough, no tie will hold. The very people you sought to placate will be the first to cast you aside. Worse, they may lead the cry themselves to prove their own piety. Look, they will say, even I suspected her. Even I, her neighbor, her friend, saw the signs. And their betrayal will weigh heavier against you than the hatred of any open foe. Thus, you must never trust too deeply. You must never rest. Your enemies must be close enough to watch, close enough to manage, but never close enough to strike unobserved. It is a grim, lonely existence, this constant vigilance. But in a world where accusation is a death sentence, where innocence means nothing and guilt is crafted from shadows and spite, it is the only path to survival. And yet, even the most watchful eye can falter. Even the most careful tongue can slip. And when the cry comes, and it will, you will look into the faces of your accusers and see not strangers, but those you called friend. And in that moment, you will know. No mask was ever thick enough. No smile was ever wide enough. In the end, there is no safety among enemies, only a slower fall. Of all the perils in this grim landscape of suspicion, none are so treacherous, so capricious, so impossible to guard against as the innocent eyes of children. You may think them harmless, small, wide-eyed, more given to play than to malice. And yet it is from the mouths of babes that the deadliest accusations often fall. For in a world where logic is warped and justice a mockery, the words of a child carry a terrible weight. No need for proof, no need for reason, only a frightened voice, a tear-streaked face, and the ruin of your life begins. Children are the perfect witnesses for those who seek to condemn you. They see what they are told to see, remember what they are prompted to remember, and imagine what they cannot comprehend. A careless jest, a playful wink, a shadow across the doorway. All can become, in a child's retelling, evidence of dark deeds. She spoke to her cat, and it answered. She flew through the air. She turned into a crow and sat on our roof. Fantastic? Yes. But in the fevered mind of the village, such tales ring true. For what adult would dare speak such lies? But children, they are innocent, and innocence is a blade easily turned against you. And it is not always malice that drives them. Sometimes it is fear. The priest thunders from the pulpit. Witches walk among us. The inquisitor leans close, eyes gleaming, voice oily. Did you see anything strange? Anything at all? The child, desperate to please, desperate to be safe, grasps for memories, for dreams, for stories overheard. A half-remembered glimpse of you at dusk becomes an act of sorcery. A game played beneath the full moon becomes a Sabbath. A nightmare whispered to a friend becomes public testimony. At other times, it is envy, spite, or the subtle prompting of adults. A parent denied alms. A neighbor jealous of your flourishing garden. A rival who covets your home. They nudge the child. Didn't you see her gathering herbs? Didn't she give you that strange charm? Didn't she look at you oddly when you passed? The child, eager for approval, nods, and from that nod, the noose is woven. You may think to avoid them, to shield yourself by distance. But here lies another trap. To shun children is to seem cold, unkind, unnatural. What woman does not smile at the babes of the village? What neighbor does not pat a child's head, offer a sweet, mend a torn garment? To stand apart is to invite suspicion. And so you must walk the narrow path again. Friendly, but not too familiar. Kind, but not conspicuously so. For too much affection may be twisted into grooming for dark purposes. Too little into evidence of a heart turned against the innocent. And beware the games of children. They mimic what they hear, what they fear. Today they play witch trials in the fields, tying dolls to stakes, chanting mock prayers. Tomorrow, they may point at you in earnest. Their games bleed into belief, belief into testimony. And when the questioners come, when the crowd gathers, no one will say, "They're only children." No, they will say, "Out of the mouths of babes comes truth, and your fate will be sealed." Even your own children are no protection. Under torture, under threat, even the most loyal son or daughter may falter. A word wrung from trembling lips, a sob confession crafted from agony and terror. These will be paraded as gospel. Worse, your children may become pariahs themselves, shunned, beaten, marked as the spawn of a witch. Your ruin will stain them as surely as it stains you. Thus you must tread with care. Watch every word, every glance, every gesture. Guard your dreams, for children speak of what they overhear. Guard your home, for curious eyes peer through shutters and keyholes. Guard your heart, for kindness is no shield here. In the world of the witch hunt, there is no innocence, not even among the young. And when the flames rise, it may be the voice of a child that lights the first spark. A book, to modern eyes, is a vessel of knowledge, a friend, a comfort. But here, in the bleak heart of a medieval witch hunt, it is something far more dangerous. A smoking gun, a cursed object, a gateway to the pyre. You must understand this at once. A book in your possession is not a tool for learning. It is an accusation waiting to happen, no matter its contents, no matter its purpose. Its very presence in your home can condemn you. Why? Because books are rare, precious, and feared. In a village where most cannot read, where even the priest's Latin is halting and memorized by rote, the written word is a mystery. And mystery, in this place, is not revered. It is hated. It breeds suspicion, breeds fear. Who taught you to read? Why do you keep such things? What secrets lie within those pages? These are not idle questions. They're the seeds of ruin. And it matters not what the book contains. A prayer book in the wrong language, a recipe collection, an old herbal manuscript. All are suspect. The line between knowledge and witchcraft is as thin as a page. An herbal guide, meant to ease childbirth or soothe fever, becomes a grimoire in the eyes of your accusers. A book of saints' lives may be twisted into a ledger of spirits. Even an innocent psalter, if found with strange marks or annotations, can be used against you. Did you not know that? The devil loves to hide among holy things. You may think to hide your books well, deep beneath floorboards, wrapped in cloth, buried in the garden. But secrets, too, breed suspicion. A hidden book, once found, is 10 times more damning than one left in plain sight. And they will be found. The inquisitor's men are thorough, and your neighbors eager to guide their search. A jealous rival, a spurned suitor, a frightened friend. Any of them may lead the hunters to your door. Worse still, the mere fact of literacy can betray you. A stray remark, a correction offered too smoothly, a child repeating that she taught me my letters, all serve to mark you. And once marked, they will ask, where did she learn? What has she read? What does she hide? The absence of books will not save you then. The accusation itself will suffice. They will imagine tomes of darkest sorcery, no matter the truth. And should they find even a scrap of parchment, a faded page, a single line of script, the trial begins. Under torture, you may be forced to confess that the book was a gift from a shadowy figure, that it whispered to you in dreams, that its ink was mixed with blood. You may cry that it was but a cookbook, but the court will hear spell book. You may swear that you read only the lives of saints, but the crowd will cry witch. In such a world, the truth is not what you know, it is what they choose to believe. Nor can you burn your books and be safe. The absence of books where once they were known to exist is itself a confession. She destroyed the evidence. They will say, she feared discovery. And the flames that consume parchment will soon consume flesh. Thus you must walk yet another narrow path. Hide your knowledge without seeming ignorant. Speak carefully. Read only when unseen. Trust no one with the secret of your learning. The books you love, if love them you do, must remain ghosts, known only to you, untouched and unseen. In the world of the witch hunt, wisdom is a curse. The written word is a chain, and even silence cannot set you free. If you believe that the witch hunt is a trial of character, a test of virtue or piety, you have not been paying attention. It is a fashion critique conducted at the end of a pitchfork. In a world where the stakes, literal and metaphorical, are life and death, what you wear is not merely a matter of taste. It is a matter of survival. Dress wrong. And you are a witch. Dress right. And, well, you're probably still a witch, but perhaps you'll last a little longer before the flames kiss your toes. Consider first the danger of beauty. A woman who dresses too finely, who adorns herself with lace, bright dyes, or jewelry, who bothers to smooth her hair and polish her shoes, invites whispers, vanity, pride, a clear sign of alliance with dark forces. How else could she afford such luxuries? Certainly not through honest labor. Not when the village economy runs on mud, manure, and mutual resentment. That fine wool cloak? A gift from the devil, no doubt. Those embroidered slippers? Sewn with threads spun by demons. That ribbon in your hair? The noose tightening. But do not think you can simply swing to the opposite extreme. Dress too poorly. Rags, faded cloth, patched skirts. And you're clearly a hag. Poverty, after all, is suspicious. Why have you no husband to provide for you? Why does no one come to your aid? Surely it must be because you are a pariah, a cursed thing, shunned by decent folk. Perhaps your touch sours milk, wilts crops, turns infant smiles to cries. Look at her, they will say, look how she skulks in her tatters, a witch if ever there was one. And then there's the matter of modesty, a minefield sown with the shards of 1,000 damned souls. Show too much skin, a glimpse of ankle, a flash of wrist, and you are a temptress, luring men to ruin with your wiles and witchcraft. Button yourself up to the chin and cover every limb, and you are hiding something, a mark of the devil, a secret sin, a pact signed in blood and stitched into your very flesh. Your sleeves are too long. Clearly you are concealing a serpent. Your skirts are too short. Clearly you are flaunting for Satan himself. Color, too, betrays you. Red is the color of lust. Black is the color of death. Green, the color of the fey and forbidden things. White is suspiciously pure. Who are you to set yourself above your neighbors? Brown is dull, but we're too much of it and you seem drab and witch-like. Blue is the color of the virgin, yes, but also expensive, and a peasant woman dressed like a saint is surely in league with darker powers. Best stick to mud, both as a fabric and a color. Mud is safe. Mud is humble. Mud is always in fashion among the terrified and the doomed. Accessories are a minefield. A simple brooch could be a charm. A belt pouch could conceal potions. A lace kerchief might be woven with spells. And heaven help you if you carry anything odd. A carved bone needle, a feather, a sprig of dried herbs. These are not the tools of housekeeping. These are the marks of a conjurer, a consorter with dark things. Your very shoes may betray you. Too soft, and you have bewitched the cobbler. Too hard, and you stomp the earth in secret rites. You may think to dress exactly like everyone else, to blend in, to vanish into the gray mass of villagers. But even this is perilous, for in a world where everyone spies on everyone else, sameness itself can seem suspicious. Why does she try so hard to look like us? What is she hiding under that bland cloak and that blank face? And if, by chance, two neighbors turn up in the same shade of gray wool, they may whisper that you bewitched the weaver to copy their gown out of spite. In the end, dressing for survival is an impossible task. No matter what you wear, no matter how you sew, dye, or patch, someone will find cause to wonder, to whisper, to accuse. And when you stand before the judge, trembling in your modest homespun best, he will sneer and say, "She dressed like one who had much to hide." And the villagers will nod and mutter and point, and the executioner will check the knots on his ropes. You will think, in your final moments, as the flames lick the hems of your carefully stitched skirt, that you should have worn the red ribbon. After all, if you're going to be burned for it, you may as well have looked good. The moon, cold and indifferent, rides high above the filth and fear of your village. You would think she has nothing to do with your fate, a distant orb, too far to meddle in human affairs. And yet, in a world ruled by superstition, the phases of the moon may well decide whether you sleep safe in your bed or wake to the scrape of irons and the roar of a mob. The wise woman watches the moon not for beauty, nor for love, but for survival. Begin with the simple fact. Any act performed beneath a full moon is suspicious. Anything. Step outside to fetch water, and you are casting spells. Hang laundry after dark, and you are weaving enchantments. Walk in your garden, and you are gathering herbs for sinister rites. Gaze too long at the bright disk in the sky, and the villagers will mutter that you draw her power into your veins. It matters not that you merely admired the stars, or sought a cool breeze on a stifling night. The moon sees all, and so it seems does the village. But staying indoors is no refuge. The old crone across the lane will claim she saw your shadow flit past the window. The miller's wife will swear she heard chanting from your chimney. The children will whisper that they saw a pale face watching them from the eaves. You may lock every door and shutter every window, yet somehow the moon's silver light will illuminate your guilt. After all, everyone knows witches love the full moon. Why else would it be so bright, if not to guide them to their dark revels? And the other phases bring no safety. A new moon, dark and unseen, is the perfect time for invisible deeds. If the well goes dry, if the priest's wine spoils, if a child wakes screaming from fevered dreams, they will say, "It was done in the dark of the moon." A waxing crescent? The witch gathers strength. A waning one? The witch's curse fades, but not before its mark is left. You see the pattern. No phase is innocent. The moon is always watching, and so are they. You might think to feign ignorance of such things, to scoff at talk of moon magic, to declare that you know nothing of celestial matters. But too much ignorance is itself a danger. What kind of woman does not mark the turning of the moon? How does she know when to plant her beans, when to bless her bread, when to guard her child's cradle? Such unnatural, unknowing marks you as surely as any secret knowledge. You must know enough to seem simple, but not so much as to seem learned. Another narrow path. Worse still, there are the misfortunes you cannot control. A cow miscarrying beneath a gibbous moon. a stillbirth on the night of an eclipse, a rash of sickness as the moon wanes. No one will look to chance or to God's inscrutable will. They will look to you. She was seen walking at dusk. Her chimney smoked late into the night. She stared too long at the sky, and from these scraps of nothing, they will weave the noose. And should the inquisitor arrive, he will ask, "Do you mark the moon? Do you gather beneath its light?" Answer no, and they will say you lie, for surely every woman watches the moon. Answer yes, and you confess to witchcraft. Say you do not know, and they will say ignorance is the devil's veil. Whatever you say, your fate is sealed. Thus you learn to watch the moon as one watches a rival, wary, tense, calculating. You mark its rise and fall not for wonder, but to know when to be seen and when to vanish. You plan your steps with care. You feign illness on certain nights. You contrive errands that keep you indoors. You let others see you busy by day, so they will think you too weary for midnight rites. You smile blandly when asked about the moon, neither too knowing nor too dismissive. And yet, for all your caution, one slip is enough. One ill-timed glance, one unguarded word, one pale gleam caught on your skin as you pass beneath the eaves. And when the mob gathers, when the torchlight flickers, someone will cry, "She danced beneath the full moon." And you will know, bitterly, that the moon needs no witness. The accusation is enough. In the end, you will curse that cold, distant orb, not for its light, but for the shadows it casts upon your life. In a world where the moon's beauty is twisted into a noose, it is safer to fear the stars than to admire them. And as the flames rise, you will think, if only I had shut my eyes tighter, stayed in my bed, turned my face to the wall. But witches do not get second chances. Not in the moonlight, not in this world. Of all the traps laid for you in this grim theater of suspicion, none is so insidious, so inescapable, as the one that waits for you in sleep. By day, you may guard your words, mask your thoughts, wait each step, but at night, when your weary body sinks in a straw and shadow, when the mind uncoils and drifts, you are helpless, and in a world where dreams are woven into evidence. Even your unconscious betrayals can drag you to the stake. Understand this. The dreams themselves are not the danger. You might dream of fields and feasts, of lost loves or old griefs. The danger lies in who hears of them and how they are twisted. For dreams are spoken of here. They are currency in a gossip market, a source of wonder and terror in equal measure. The baker's wife dreams of her dead child, and all the village mourns. The blacksmith dreams of fire and curses his luck. But let it be known that you dreamed of strange things, of flight, of shadowed forests, of beasts that speak, and the whispers begin. And it matters not whether you told the dream. A child may overhear your murmured words in sleep. A neighbor may invent a tale whole cloth. She said she flew through the air. She dreamed of a black stag with human eyes. She spoke in a tongue no Christian knows. The content is irrelevant. The mere fact that dreams surround you, that the idea of you dreaming spreads, is enough to seed suspicion. Worse still are the questioners who come when the hunt begins. The priest, the inquisitor, the bailiff's men, all versed in the art of suggestion, of planting poisoned seeds. Under pressure, neighbors will remember your strange words. Children will recall your odd behavior upon waking. And you, dragged from your bed and beaten and starved, will be asked, "What do you dream of?" There is no safe answer. Deny dreams, and you are unnatural, for who does not dream? Admit to them, and the details will be pried from you, twisted into guilt. And if the rack stretches your limbs, if the thumbscrews grind your bones, you will dream indeed, waking nightmares of blood and flame. And when, broken and sobbing, you confess to whatever they demand. Your dreams will be read aloud in court as proof of your unholy nature. She dreamed of flying to the Sabbath. The clerk will intone, she dreamed of the devil in the form of a goat. She consorted in dreams with demons. No matter that the words were forced from a battered mind. No matter that the visions were born of pain. The crowd will nod, righteous and ravenous. You may think to guard your tongue, to keep your dreams secret, but even this is perilous. A woman who never speaks of dreams must be hiding them. Why does she never share her visions? They will murmur. Perhaps she dreams of things too dark to tell. And so you are caught again. Speak and risk accusation. Stay silent and risk accusation. Live and risk accusation. Even the most innocent dreams can betray you. A child long dead appears in your sleep. Now you are accused of necromancy. A lover lost returns. Now you are accused of seduction through sorcery. A simple vision of flying. Now you are branded a shapeshifter. And if you should, God forbid, speak in your sleep, utter a single word in an unknown tongue, or cry out in the grip of nightmare, the listening ears will spin in news from it. And dreams are not yours alone. Should a neighbor dream of you, the danger doubles. She came to me in my sleep. A jealous rival may cry. She whispered curses in my ear. A child, frightened by a nightmare, may sob. She was there. She flew through the window. And no protestation will save you. For what defense can you make against another's dream? In this court of fear, dreams weigh heavier than deeds. So you will learn, as all who would survive must learn, to fear your own sleep. You will dread the closing of your eyes. You will lie stiff upon your pallet, praying for blank darkness. You will teach yourself to forget upon waking, to smile blandly when others speak of dreams, and you will watch the faces of your neighbors with constant dread, wondering what they might invent when next the priest demands fresh meat for the flames. In the end, sleep offers no refuge, only another battlefield, where your mind itself is weaponized against you. And when the crowd gathers and the inquisitor reads the litany of your dreams, you will understand too late that in this world, even the silent night conspires to destroy you. There are many predators in the world of the witch hunt, but none so polished, so practiced, so lethally professional as the Inquisitor. If the mob is a blind beast and the gossiping villagers a swarm of biting flies, the Inquisitor is a surgeon with a scalpel, a man who carves truth from flesh, or what he calls truth. You must know him, study him, fear him, for when he comes, no prayer, no kindness, no cleverness will keep you safe. Only understanding the game may grant you a moment's breath. Before the news tightens, do not imagine him as a drooling fanatic in rags. Oh no, the Inquisitor is often well-dressed, well-fed, well-versed in law and scripture. His tongue is smooth, his manners polite. He will greet you with courtesy, perhaps even a smile. He will assure you this is all routine, that he seeks only the truth, that if you are innocent, as surely you are, you have nothing to fear, and then he will destroy you. Understand this. The Inquisitor does not seek witches. He seeks confessions. He seeks convictions. He seeks to please his masters, to climb the ecclesiastical ladder, to demonstrate his zeal. The more witches he finds, the more favor he gains. The more spectacular the trial, the more his name spreads and whispers are the coin of power in this grim game. He is not alone. He travels with a retinue, bailiffs with iron grips, scribes with sharp quills, torturers with gleaming tools. Each knows their role. Each has performed it countless times. They arrive in your village like wolves in velvet cloaks, and the village welcomes them with a mixture of awe and terror. For while the Inquisitor claims to purge evil, he also brings spectacle distraction, a grim entertainment. The villagers will line up to watch the questioning. They will jostle to offer their accusations. They will lick their lips as the flames are lit. The Inquisitor knows this. He knows how to play the crowd. He knows when to raise his voice in righteous fury, when to lower it to a whisper that chills the blood. He knows how to twist your words, how to feign sympathy as he tightens the noose. "We are here to help you," he will say. "We seek only to save your soul." And then he will order the rack prepared. You may think to reason with him, to appeal to his sense of justice. Foolish hope. Justice is not his trade. His trade is certainty, delivered by fire and iron. And he is well armed. He carries the manuals of the witch hunters, thick tomes listing signs of witchcraft, drawn from scripture and the fevered minds of those who came before. A mole upon your skin? A witch's mark? A miscarriage after you passed in the street? A curse? A dream? A glance? A muttered word? All signs, all proof. Worse still, the Inquisitor understands the art of the stage confession. He will parade other accused women before you, broken, weeping, eager to save their own skin. They will name you as their accomplice, their teacher, their sister in sin. They will say they saw you at the Sabbath, dancing with demons beneath the moon. And you will know, as you hear their trembling voices, that they are lying, but it will not matter. Their lies are now your truth. And when your turn comes, when you are dragged into the chamber of stone and shadow, the Inquisitor will not scream or rage. He will speak softly, patiently. Confess, and you may yet be spared the flames. Resist, and we must cleanse your body to free your soul. And then the torturers will begin their work. You may think yourself strong. You may think you can endure, that your innocence will shine through agony. But pain is a language the Inquisitor speaks fluently. He knows how to draw out screams and confessions alike. He knows when to loosen the cords, when to tighten them. He knows how long a body can last before the mind shatters, and shattered minds confess all. An Inquisitor writes it all down, every moan, every sobbed word. The record will show that you confessed freely, that you named others, that you detailed unholy rites. You will be too broken to remember what you truly said, but the parchment will remember, and when the trial begins, the Inquisitor will read from it with grave solemnity. The crowd will gasp, the judge will nod, and your fate will be sealed. Thus, if you would survive even a heartbeat longer, you must know the Inquisitor, know his hunger for praise, know his need for success. Know that in his eyes, you're not a woman, not a neighbor, not a soul in torment. You are a tally to be marked, a pyre to be lit, a feather in his cap. And when he smiles and says, "Trust me," you will know deep in your bones that you are doomed. For in this world, there is no justice. Only the Inquisitor's script, the crowd's roar, and the crackle of burning flesh. If you believe that truth will save you, that reason and logic will prevail once the tests begin, you have not been paying attention. The tests of a witch hunt are not trials of innocence. They're grotesque rituals designed to prove what has already been decided. They're spectacles for the mob, theater for the court, a grim pageant where guilt is the only possible outcome. If you are wise or merely doomed, you must understand them. Not to escape, for escape is a fantasy, but to know the shape of your fate. Begin with the swimming test, simple, brutal, absurd. You are bound hand and foot, tied beneath the arms, and cast into a pond or river. If you float, you are a witch. The water, pure and holy, rejects your profane flesh. If you sink, you are innocent and drowned. A perfect system. Float and burn, sink and die. You may think to manipulate the outcome, to struggle or not, but it matters little. The villagers will see what they expect to see. If you float for a moment, they will howl. If you sink and are dragged out gasping, they will murmur that the devil protected you. And if you drown, they will shrug. Another soul tested, another spectacle complete. Then there is the needle test. You'll be stripped, your body examined inch by inch for the witch's mark. A mole, a freckle, a scar, a patch of skin insensitive to pain. The Inquisitor's men will jab you with long needles, watching for a spot that does not bleed, that elicits no cry. Never mind that nerves fail under terror, that bruised skin may not bleed, that numbness is the body's defense. They will find their mark. They always do. And when they do, it will be paraded as irrefutable proof. The devil's seal, burnt or bitten into your flesh. Or consider the weighing test. You will be placed upon scales, compared to a Bible or a sack of grain. If you are too light, you have flown on the wind. A witch, if you are too heavy, you are unnaturally dense with evil. There is no proper weight. The test is not a measure of mass, but of malice. The scales will tip whichever way the Inquisitor desires, and the crowd will cheer the result. And then there are the more subtle torments. You may be asked to recite the Lord's Prayer without stumbling. No small task when your tongue is swollen with thirst and fear. Miss a word, hesitate, falter, and it is proof of your allegiance to darker forces. You may be forced to touch the afflicted, those poor souls who writhe and wail, who claim to be cursed. If they are healed by your touch, it proves your power. If they recoil, it proves your guilt. Heads you lose, tails you burn. Even your tears may betray you. Cry too much, and you are hysterical, untrustworthy. Fail to cry, and you are cold, unrepentant, clearly enthralled to Satan. Your every breath is weighed, your every twitch interpreted through a lens of paranoia. The tests are not designed to reveal the truth. They're designed to confirm a lie that the village already believes, that the Inquisitor already seeks to prove. And if, by some miracle, you endure these trials without faltering, if you float and sink as they wish, if you bleed where you must, if you pray without error, the Inquisitor has other tools. Torture, whispered accusations, spectral evidence, the dreams and visions of others. No test is the final test. There is always another, until you confess or die. Thus you must understand, the tests are not tests. They're performances. The audience is bloodthirsty, the judge is deaf to reason. The outcome is foreordained. And as you are bound and led to the pond, the needle, the scales, you will know. The only question is how long you will suffer before the flames claim you. And in your final moments, perhaps some bitter corner of your mind will marvel at the cruelty of it all. For in this world, innocence is the ultimate crime, and proof of it the final nail in your coffin. If you believe that your greatest danger lies in the Inquisitor's tools, in the rack or the pyre, you are mistaken. The true executioner wears no black hood, bears no iron brand. The true executioner is your neighbor, and her weapon is words. In a world where written records are rare and justice is performed in whispers, gossip is the sharpest blade of all. And once the mill begins to turn, it grinds slow, steady, and without mercy. Understand this. Gossip is the bloodstream of the village. It flows through the market stalls, through the church porch, through the smoky haze of the alehouse. It seeps into every ear, coils around every heart. No event is too small to escape its reach. No word too trivial. No smile too wide. No silence too long. Everything is fodder. A cough, a glance, an absent-minded frown, spun, stretched, twisted into evidence of secret sin. And once your name enters that current, it spreads faster than plague. A single remark, did you see how pale she looked at Mass? Becomes, within a day, she communes with spirits in the night. By week's end, You are dancing with devils beneath the full moon. It matters not that you have done nothing. The gossip mill requires no truth to turn. It feeds on fear, on envy, on old wounds and petty slights. And envy is plentiful here. Did your garden thrive when others withered? You must have cursed their crops. Did your child survive a fever that claimed others? Surely dark forces sheltered your home. Did a suitor glance your way, though another claimed him? You have bewitched him. The human heart is a festering thing, and the gossip mill grinds its rod into deadly flour. What makes gossip so lethal is its shapelessness. It leaves no single accuser to confront, no clear charge to refute. When the inquisitor arrives, he need not invent crimes. They're already swirling around you in a fog of rumor. And when you protest, when you beg for evidence, they will smile and say, "Many have spoken, many have seen. Names are not needed. Proof is not needed. The whispers are enough." And do not think to fight it with truth. Denials only feed the flames. Why is she so defensive? They will ask. Why does she speak so forcefully if she has nothing to hide? A meek silence invites its own condemnation. She dares not speak, for guilt chokes her throat. Speak too much, too little, too cleverly, too plainly. All roads lead to the same gallows. Even your defenders become suspect. A friend who speaks in your favor may soon find herself named your accomplice. A husband who protests your innocence too loudly may be said to lie under your spell. The village feeds upon its own, and no one is safe once the feast begins. And so you learn to listen, to note the glances traded behind your back, to track the sudden silences when you enter a room, to mark which neighbors now cross themselves when you pass. You count the smiles that no longer reach the eyes, the greetings that falter on the tongue. These are the signs of the mill turning. And once you hear them, know this: it is already too late. The wheel turns slowly at first, creaking beneath the weight of old grudges. But when fear takes hold, when the first accusations fly, it spins faster than thought. Your every act, past and present, is ground beneath it. A childhood tantrum becomes a sign of dark temper. A quarrel with a neighbor becomes a curse. A kindness given becomes a lure for wicked ends. And when the bailiffs come, when the iron clasps your wrists, the gossip will roar to full fury. The village will weep and wail and cry. We always knew. The baker's wife will swear she heard you mutter spells. The old shepherd will claim you cast the evil eye upon his flock. The children will say you stared too long at the moon. And the inquisitor will nod, his pen scratching eagerly across the parchment. You will stand in the dock, wide-eyed, hollow as the litany of lies unfolds. You will think, but this is madness. Surely they see it is madness. But they do not. They cannot. For the gossip mill has turned, and once it turns, it does not stop. It does not pause. It does not forgive. And in the end, as the smoke coils toward the heavens, the same tongues that damned you will mourn you. How tragic, they will sigh. But she brought it upon herself, did she not? We always suspected. And the mill will creak on, seeking its next meal. In this world, the noose is woven from words, and the deadliest rope is spun on the wheel of gossip. If you are wise, or perhaps simply unfortunate enough to still be breathing, you will have noticed by now that certain states of life are more dangerous than others, and none is so fraught with peril, so laced with suspicion, as widowhood. To be a woman alone in this world is to walk a narrow bridge over a pit of sharpened stakes, and to walk it in widow's black is to do so with the eyes of the entire village watching, weighing, whispering. Consider first the simple fact. Men die. Often, easily. A slip with the plow, a fall from a horse, a festering wound, a cup of bad ale. Life here is a grim and fragile thing, and no husband is guaranteed to last. But when a man dies, the world does not ask what killed him. The world asks, who? And if the widow remains breathing, upright, unburned, well then, there's your answer. Who else but she who stood to gain? Who else but she who now owns his land, his home, his meager possessions? What woman could smile again so soon, or weep so prettily at the funeral? Surely, the villagers say, she hastened his end, and the dangers do not stop with the first death. For the lonely widow is doubly damned. Alone, she is vulnerable. Lacking a husband's protection, she is an easy target for slander. And worse, lacking a man's voice to speak for her, her own voice is suspect. Too loud, and she is shrill, vengeful, bitter. Too soft, and she is hiding something. Too cheerful, and she is cold-blooded. Too mournful, and she is a false wailer. There is no correct grief. There is no safe sorrow. And heaven help her if misfortune follows in her wake. If a cow sickens in the neighboring field, if a babe dies in its cradle, if the wind blows ill, all eyes turn to the widow. Alone, they whisper, and yet her garden thrives. Alone, and yet her hens lay fat eggs. It matters not that these are the meager fruits of toil. Prosperity in a widow is unnatural, and if her fortunes fail, the whispers redouble. But see how her roof leaks now. The devil has turned from her. Guilt in both abundance and poverty. You cannot win. And should the widow remarry, her danger does not lessen. Too quick to wed, she has ensnared the new husband with witchcraft. Too slow, she plots, she schemes, she consorts with dark powers beneath her empty bed. A young widow is a temptress, a corrupter of men. An old widow is a hag, a crone steeped in forbidden arts. The wedding ring is not a shield. It is merely another circle drawn around the pyre. Even the rituals of mourning betray her. Wear black too long, and she wallows in morbid pride. Cast it off too soon, and she dances upon the grave. Attend church faithfully, and she seeks to mask her sins with false piety. Stay away, and she spurns God's mercy. In widowhood, every choice is twisted into accusation. And the children, the children are no protection. A childless widow is barren, cursed, unnatural. A widow with healthy children is a witch who protected her own while cursing others. A mother whose child sickens or dies is doubly marked. First by grief, then by suspicion. The village counts every cradle and coffin, and in the arithmetic of fear, the widow's balance is always wrong. And when the inquisitor arrives, he will find her ready-made for the role, alone, vulnerable, too proud to beg, too wise to weep. The perfect subject for questioning, for breaking. Her lands can be seized, her goods confiscated, her neighbors absolved of guilt by casting her into the flames. She is a sacrifice that offends no powerful husband, no living patriarch, a convenient offering to the ever-hungry god of fear. You may think, in some foolish corner of your mind, that you could avoid this fate, that you could remarry quickly and quietly, that you could retreat into piety, into charity, into the shadow of the church. But in this world, the role of the widow is written in blood and fire. The village needs its witches, and who better than she who has outlived her man? Who better than she who walks alone, who owns her own name, who answers to no master? And so the wise woman prays for her husband's health, not from love, though she may love, but from the cold knowledge that his death would be her ruin. She tends his meals with care, lest a spoiled stew become her death sentence. She guards his steps, his horse, his bed. And when he coughs too long, when he winces at a sudden pain, her heart pounds not with grief, but with dread. For in the world of the witch hunt, widowhood is not freedom. It is a death sentence deferred, And when the flames rise, when the crowd gathers, they will point and say, "We always knew. She was meant to burn." If you are foolish enough to think that falling ill might buy you sympathy, that a sickbed might shield you from suspicion, you are gravely mistaken. In this world, sickness is not a sign of misfortune. It is a sign of guilt. A woman who coughs too long, who staggers with fever, who pales beneath her shawl, invites not comfort, but whispers. And in the game of the witch hunt, those whispers are deadlier than any disease. First, consider the simple reality. Illness spreads. Fevers rise, coughs echo through the village. Pox dust the skin of child and elder alike. The cause is hunger, filth, foul water. But reason plays no role here. The villagers crave explanations, and what explanation is simpler than this? Someone has cursed us. Someone opened the door to evil. Someone is the source. And when your body weakens, when your cheeks flush or your breath rasps, they will look to you. And should others fall ill after you, the path of blame is clear. She touched the child's hand. She visited the sickbed. She passed by my door with a strange look. The timeline does not matter. The logic does not matter. The sickness is your shadow now, and it will cling to you until the pyre burns it away. Nor is your own suffering a shield. No one will say, "How could she cause illness when she herself lies weak?" No, they will say, "This is the witch's price. The devil claims his due," or worse. She feigns illness to draw pity, to mask her sins. In a village drunk on fear, even your pallor is an accusation. And beware the healers. Should a midwife tend your fever, should a neighbor bring broth or poultice, they too will be marked. The sickness becomes a web, drawing in all who touch it. And when the net tightens, when names are whispered, it is your name that will lie at the center. You may think to hide your illness, to stay within, to shroud your weakness behind drawn shutters. But the absence will speak louder than any cough. She has not been seen. She hides away. What does she conjure in the dark? The very walls of your home will betray you. And when you emerge, thinner, weaker, unsteady, the crowd will see not recovery, but proof of sorcery. And heaven help you if strange symptoms appear. A rash of unknown cause, a fit in the night, a fevered dream spoken aloud. These are not ailments. They are marks of the devil's touch. The inquisitor will pry beneath your garments, seeking signs. The midwife's innocent poultice will be called a witch's brew. Your hoarse voice will be proof of curses uttered in secret. Even recovery is perilous. Rise too swiftly from your bed, and they will say, "No mortal woman heals so fast." The devil strengthens her. Languish too long, and they will say, "She lingers to sap our health, to feed upon our suffering." You cannot win. You can only fall, and fall deeper. And when the procession begins, the slow march to the hall of judgment, your sickness will be read as scripture. The priest will intone your symptoms. The scribe will record your pallor, your trembling hands. The villagers will nod and murmur, "Yes, we saw it. Yes, we knew." Your body, once your own, now belongs to their narrative. Your weakness is their weapon. Thus, the wise woman learns the cruelest lesson of all. Do not fall ill. Do not cough. Do not stumble. Do not show fatigue, nor hunger, nor grief. Hold your head high, your back straight, your breath steady, even when your limbs quake and your heart falters. For sickness is no excuse. In this world, sickness is guilt, and guilt, once named, consumes. And if, despite all care, the fever takes you, if your skin burns and your vision swims, you will lie in your bed and hear the whispers beyond the door. You will hear the priest's measured tread. You will hear the bailiff's iron-shod boots. and you will know the illness that gripped your flesh has already claimed your fate. For here, in the grim theater of the witch hunt, there is only one cure for such sickness, and it burns very bright. If there is a profession more dangerous than simple womanhood in this world of fire and fear, it is midwifery. You might imagine that to aid in birth, to bring life into the world, would be the holiest of tasks. But here, in the shadow of the witch hunt, to be a midwife is to walk with a torch in one hand and a noose around your neck. It is to be needed and hated in equal measure, to be summoned in the darkest hours and damned for the result. Consider the simple, brutal truth. Childbirth is a battlefield. Blood, sweat, screams, and death. For every babe that draws breath, another may fall still. For every mother who survives, another may perish. The villagers will tell themselves that life and death are God's will, until something goes wrong. And when it does, when the babe lies blue and silent, when a mother bleeds beyond saving, the need for a scapegoat will be swift and sharp. And who better than the woman who presided over the scene? You may think to ply your trade with skill and care, to learn the ways of herbs and poultices, to master the art of turning a child or soothing a laboring mother. But skill itself is suspect. A midwife whose hands are too sure, whose remedies work too well, is unnatural. She must have knowledge beyond what a simple woman should possess. They will whisper, and if she succeeds where others have failed, if her touch saves where the priest's prayers did not, then surely they will say her aid comes not from heaven, but from darker sources. And failure, of course, is fatal. No woman can guarantee a safe birth. The babe that comes too soon, too weak, too malformed, these are not seen as nature's cruel hand, but as the mark of a curse. The villagers will remember every quarrel, every slight. Did she not frown at me in the market? Did she not walk by my house when the moon was high? And so the dead babe becomes your death sentence. Nor does the manner of your work offer any protection. To know which herbs ease pain is to be accused of brewing potions. To know the signs of a coming birth is to be accused of unnatural foresight. To speak gently to a laboring woman is to chant incantations, to command silence, to order the room cleared for the sake of the mother. These become rituals of dark power in the retelling. The very tools of your trade, linen cloths, sharp knives, bundles of dried roots, are transformed into a witch's arsenal. And even success brings danger. The mother whose child you save may sing your praises today. But should that child fall ill in the weeks to come, a fever, a cough, a rash, the song will sour. She bewitched the child. They will say, she marked it with her touch. Gratitude is fleeting. Fear is forever. And do not think to refuse the work. To turn away a laboring mother is to doom her. And when she dies, the blame will still fall upon you. She could have saved her. They will cry. She chose not to. Why? You will be damned for your skill, and you will be damned for your refusal. You are caught either way. Even the innocent rituals of birth are twisted against you. The washing of the babe, the binding of charms for protection, the lighting of candles. These are old ways, but now they are seen through a new lens, a lens smeared with fear and blood. The Inquisitor's men know these signs. They come armed with questions. Did you touch the child with oil? Did you speak words over the mother? Did you burn incense or herbs? And there is no safe answer. To deny is to lie. To admit is to confess. And when the trial comes, as it surely will, the gallery of witnesses will be full. The mothers whose babes you could not save. The fathers whose grief festers into rage. The old wives who envy your skill. The priest whose pride you shamed by succeeding where prayer failed. They will speak, and the crowd will howl, and the judge will nod. And your hands, so often bloodied in the service of life, will be bound for death. Thus the wise woman avoids midwifery if she can. She lets the younger, the braver, the more desperate take up the burden. She pleads ignorance. She hides her knowledge. She turns her face from the cries in the night. For to answer that call is to court the pyre. And if in some cruel twist you are dragged to the birthing room by force, by desperate family, by pleading neighbor, know this. The babe's first cry may not be the loudest heard that night. The mob's roar, when the flames are lit, will drown it. For in this world, to bring life is to gamble with your own. And in the witch hunt, no good deed goes unpunished. Among the many foolish mistakes that can shorten your life in this world, few are as seemingly innocent and as catastrophically dangerous as predicting the weather. You may think it harmless to glance at the sky, to remark upon a gathering cloud, to note the chill in the wind. After all, the weather is everyone's business. Crops depend upon it. Journeys are planned around it. Yet here, under the ever-watchful eyes of the village, to speak of what the skies may bring is to invite ruin. Begin with the simple fact that bad weather is always someone's fault. A failed harvest, a flooded road, a winter too long, or a summer too short. These are not seen as the whims of nature, but as curses cast from jealous hearts and wicked tongues. And when the village suffers, when the grain rots, or the sheep sicken in the wet fields, the need for a scapegoat rises like steam from the muck. If by some ill-starred chance your voice was heard to say, "It looks like rain before the storm broke, or this frost will last before the buds withered," then congratulations. You have just volunteered for the pyre. And beware the innocent patterns of life. A woman who knows when to sow or reap, who watches the moon's phases and the flight of birds, is a witch. How else does she know? They will whisper. What spirits guide her? What bargains has she struck? And if her predictions prove false, the villagers will not thank her for erring. No, they will say she sought to mislead, to trick, to confound the honest folk. The weather, after all, is not for women to command. Even silence is no protection. To say nothing when asked, "Will it rain tomorrow?" is to feign ignorance. And that, too, is suspicious. She knows. They will murmur. She hides her knowledge. And if you dare to answer in jest, "I am no prophet," ask the sky. Your humor will sour in their ears. Mockery, they will say. She laughs because she knows too well. And heaven help you if the weather turns strange. An unseasonal frost, a sudden hailstorm, a drought that cracks the fields. The villagers will cast about for a cause, and they will find it in the memory of your words. She said the winds would change. She spoke of dark clouds. She warned of cold. It does not matter when or why. The link is forged in fear. And if, through simple wisdom or long habit, you tend your life accordingly, if your hearth is prepared for winter's bite, if your stores are full when the rains fall, that prudence will betray you. See how well she fares. They will hiss. While we suffer, she thrives. She knew. She caused it. Your very survival becomes a mark of guilt. And when the inquisitor arrives, weather will be among his questions. Did she foretell the storm? He will ask. Did she speak of the hard winter? Did her hens lay strangely before the winds rose? There will be no correct answers. Deny, and they will say you lie. Admit, and they will say you consort with dark powers. Speak too much, and you are damned. Speak too little, and you are damned. Thus the wise woman learns to watch the skies in secret, to read the wind with her eyes alone, to keep her thoughts behind her teeth. And when the neighbors chatter of clouds and cold, she smiles vaguely, shrugs, and says, God's will, as ever. Even this is dangerous, but it is the narrowest of paths. And yet, for all caution, the skies cannot be silenced. The storm will come. The frost will bite. The drought will parch the earth, and when it does, the village will remember. They will remember your words, your glances, your silences. They will remember your full granary and your dry roof. They will remember, and they will whisper, and the mill will turn. And when you stand before judge and crowd, the wind howling beyond the walls, they will cry. She called the storm. She beckoned the frost. She wove the winds with her words, and no denial will drown their cries. For in this world, even the sky is your enemy, and every cloud that passes may cast the shadow of a pyre. If you wish to survive a witch hunt, or at least to understand the noose tightening around your throat, you must first understand this. Beneath the sermons, beneath the tests, beneath the cries of righteous indignation, there's a single, gnawing root from which much of the terror grows, and that root is fear. Not fear of devils, not fear of witches, fear of women. More precisely, fear of women who will not kneel, who will not shrink, who will not fade quietly into the background of man's world. The men of your village fear what they cannot control, and a woman with knowledge of herbs, of childbirth, of the body's mysteries, is uncontrollable. A woman with wit, who speaks her mind and holds her gaze steady, is uncontrollable. A woman who lives alone, who owns land, who manages her affairs, is uncontrollable. And what cannot be controlled must be destroyed, or at the very least, branded as unnatural. You must understand, these are not brave men. They are not strong in their faith, nor certain in their righteousness. They're brittle things, their power propped up by custom and law. A woman who does not flinch at a priest's rebuke wounds their pride. A woman who corrects a fool's tale wounds their pride. A woman who knows the way of the seasons, who charts the ebb and flow of life better than they can. That is an affront they cannot forgive. And beneath the public piety lies a baser fear still. Men fear women's bodies. They fear their desires, their weaknesses, their failures. A man who cannot satisfy his wife may whisper that she seeks darker pleasures. A man whose child sickens may blame the mother. A man whose crops fail may mutter that his neighbor's wife cursed his field. In this world, it is always easier to blame the woman than to confront one's own impotence. Even the rituals of courtship reek of this fear. A woman who refuses a suitor's hand is proud, and pride, they will say, is a witch's trait. A woman who accepts too eagerly is lustful, another mark of evil. And if she outlives her husband, if she dares to wear her widowhood with dignity rather than broken despair, the whispers grow teeth. And the church? Do not look for salvation there. The sermons that thunder from the pulpit speak of Eve's sin, of women as weak vessels, ever vulnerable to Satan's seduction. A learned woman is called arrogant. A silent woman is called secretive. A modest woman is called false. The script is written long before you step onto the stage. And so, when the witch hunt begins in earnest, these male fears erupt in full. The inquisitor, cloaked in holy authority, seeks not merely to purge evil, but to reassert control, to remind all that women who stray beyond their allotted bounds will be broken and burned. The bailiff who once eyed you with hunger now eyes you with suspicion. The neighbors who once joked at your expense now gather to accuse. And beneath it all is the unspoken truth. They fear you because you refuse to be small. And if you think meekness will save you, that if you bow your head and bite your tongue, you will be spared, think again. A woman who submits too easily must be hiding something. A woman who shows no fear must be hardened by dark powers. A woman who trembles and weeps too much invites contempt, and contempt swiftly turns to accusation. No, the wise woman understands. In this world, the mere fact of being a woman is peril enough. To live is to threaten. To speak is to risk. To know is to doom. And so you must walk the razor's edge, balancing the fears of the men around you. Not too bold, not too meek, never too much, never too little. But even this is no guarantee. For when the storm breaks, when the inquisitor calls your name, it is not reason or truth that will judge you. It is fear, raw, quivering, deep-rooted. The fear of men who see in you a mirror of all they cannot master. And that fear burns hotter than any pyre. And as the flames rise, you may think, with one last, bitter spark of humor, that you were right all along. For nothing frightens them more than a woman who knows too much and fears too little. If you are a young woman in this world, you are in danger. If you are a middle-aged woman, you are in greater danger. But if you are old, God's help you. You are all but doomed. For in the minds of your neighbors, old age is not wisdom. It is not experience. It is not something to be honored. It is instead a creeping indictment, a sign that you have outlived your usefulness, that you have slipped beyond the tidy roles allotted to women. And in a world hunting witches, to be an old woman is to walk with one foot in the grave or the fire. Consider first the simple arithmetic of suspicion. Why has she lived so long when others wither young? Why does her back still straighten, her tongue still lash, when others falter? Surely she has made some bargain. Surely she has drunk some foul elixir or whispered some forbidden prayer. The young die of fevers and childbirth and famine, but the crone persists. In a village ruled by superstition, survival itself is suspicious. Then there is the matter of appearance. Age marks the body in ways no cloak can conceal. The stooped shoulders, the trembling hands, the sunken eyes, the hair gone thin and white. These become the very image of the witch in the collective mind. The priest thunders of the crone who serves the devil, and the children glance at you in the pews. The inquisitor describes the withered hag who rides the night winds, and the villagers glance at your shuttered window. You are, quite simply, the role, already cast, and with age comes solitude. The husband long buried, the children grown or lost to plague or war. The house grows quieter, the hearth colder, and in that solitude, the villagers see not grief or endurance, but secrecy. She lives alone, they whisper. What does she do by night? What shadows gather in her empty rooms? A widow in her youth is suspect. A widow in her age is a target. Nor do the old escape envy. You know the ways of herbs, the ways of birth and death, the old charms and prayers. The younger women come to you in secret, seeking counsel, remedies, wisdom. And then, when fear takes them, they turn those very visits into accusation. She gave me this root. She taught me this chant. What was once sought in gratitude is now offered in condemnation. And let us not forget the petty hatreds of life. The neighbor you scolded for stealing kindling. The child you slapped for breaking your gate. The farmer whose offer of marriage you refused decades ago. Age does not soften grudges. It deepens them. And when the hunt begins, those long-festered wounds will bleed freely. Even your voice can betray you. Too sharp, and you are a harridan. Too soft, and you are sly. Too silent, and you are brooding. Too talkative, and you are spreading poison. The laughter of an old woman is a curse. Her tears are a ploy. Her prayers are mockery. There is no tone you can strike that will not be twisted. And your body itself is a trap. The marks of age, moles, warts, sagging flesh become witches' marks beneath the inquisitor's needle. The trembling of your hands is unnatural. The keening of old bones in the night is the cry of her demon. Even the smell of age, smoke, herbs, sweat, old cloth, becomes the stench of evil in the fevered minds of the crowd. And when the trial comes, and it will, your age will speak louder than any testimony. She is ancient. They will say, she remembers the old ways. She walks at night because she cannot sleep, or because she seeks the devil. Your wrinkled skin, your bent frame, your weary eyes will damn you long before the charges are read. Thus, the wise old woman learns the final bitter lesson. Invisibility is no shield. Age does not soften the hunt. It sharpens it. The world fears the old woman because she has seen too much, survived too much, knows too much. And in a world that thrives on fear, that is unforgivable. And when the flames rise, the crowd will watch with cruel satisfaction. It was time, they will say. She was old, she was dangerous. And they will turn their eyes to the next old woman in line, for the hunt is never sated. For here, old age is not a crown of honor. It is a target painted in ash and fire. If you have clung to any shred of hope thus far, if you have whispered to yourself that perhaps, if you are cautious enough, pious enough, submissive enough, you might escape the pyre, cast that hope aside now. For once the word which is spoken in earnest against you, your fate is no longer your own. You're no longer a neighbor, a wife, a mother, a healer, or a friend. You are an idea, a symbol, and the village, the church, the law, and the crowd will do whatever it takes to destroy that. Idea, once accused, you are doomed. It does not matter why the accusation was made. Perhaps it was envy. Perhaps it was grief. Perhaps it was nothing more than the casual malice of a bored child or the careless words of an old drunkard. The origin is irrelevant. What matters is that the word has taken flight, and like a raven loosed from a dark tower, it will not return to its cage. And do not fool yourself that evidence is required. The accusation itself is the evidence. The more people repeat it, the truer it becomes in the minds of those who hear it. They say she is a witch. The priest will murmur. Many have spoken, and many will speak, because fear breeds more fear, and no one wishes to be the one who doubted when the flames are lit. And once the inquisitor arrives, the machinery of your destruction begins to grind in earnest. You will not be called to explain or defend yourself. You will be called to confess. The trial is not a search for truth. It is a performance in which your guilt is the foregone conclusion. Every question is a snare, every gesture of kindness a trick. The inquisitor smiles and says, "Tell us the truth, and you may be spared." But there is no truth you can tell that will save you. Deny everything, and you are obstinate, possessed, hardened in sin. Admit to anything, and the confession spreads like oil on water, slick and unstoppable. And once you are named, others will follow. The villagers will seek to shield themselves by adding to the flames. She bewitched my cow. She cursed my child. She stared at me in the market. Lies, fantasies, twisted half-memories. All are swallowed whole by the hungry court. And for every new voice raised against you, the pressure on the others grows. No one wishes to stand alone in doubt. Safer to point, to shout, to join the mob. Nor can you rely on the bonds of kinship or friendship. Your husband may protest at first, your children may cry out. But when the jailer comes, when the inquisitor offers the choice, confess against her and save yourself. Even the strongest will falter under threat, under torture, under the weight of the inevitable. Love bends and breaks, and their broken words will be used to break you in turn. And should you be dragged into the torture chamber, stripped, beaten, torn, do not think your cries will soften your captors. To scream is proof that the devil is fleeing your flesh. To remain silent is proof of unnatural strength. And when at last you confess, because all do, they will parade your words as righteous victory. The crowd will roar, the scribes will nod, the sentence will be sealed. And in the twisted logic of this world, even the manner of your confession will damn you further. She confessed too easily. She was eager to speak her sins. She resisted too long, a sure sign of deeper guilt. You cannot win. You cannot escape. The moment the accusation was spoken, the wheel began to turn, and now it grinds your bones beneath it. And when the flames rise, as they will, the same villagers who once sought your counsel, who shared your bread, who kissed your children, will watch and say, "We always knew." And the inquisitor will ride on to the next village, and the next, and the fires will burn again. For in this world, once accused, you are already dead. The only question is how long it will take for the fire to catch. The final hour does not begin with a bell or a trumpet. It begins with footsteps, heavy, deliberate, echoing down the corridor of your cell. If you have even been granted the dignity of a cell and not simply a pit in the ground, by now, your body is a ruin. Your wrists bear the purple imprint of iron. Your skin is scored with bruises, with cuts, with burns. Your voice is hoarse from screaming or from silence, both equally damning. You are no longer a woman, no longer a neighbor, no longer a soul. You are a spectacle in the making, and today is the day you will be displayed. The guards do not speak as they haul you upright. Their silence is its own cruelty. They do not need to jeer. You smell the pitch, the smoke already curling in the wind. You hear the distant hum of the crowd gathering. They have come for a festival, and you are the entertainment. And when you are dragged into the square, blinking in the gray light, the faces you see are both familiar and monstrous. There is the baker's wife, who once shared your table. There is the smith, whose child you helped deliver. There is the priest, eyes gleaming beneath his cowl. And there, at the forefront, is the inquisitor, lips curved in that same thin smile. All the world now wears masks of piety, of righteousness, of grim satisfaction. But beneath those masks lies something simpler. Relief. They are not the ones bound and beaten today. They will cheer all the louder for it. The judge will stand and read the sentence, though there is no soul here who doubts the outcome. The charges are recited in droning cadence, consorting with demons, blighting the crops, corrupting the youth, flying upon the winds. The words barely matter. They are ritual, a liturgy of fear. The crowd will murmur, will nod, will cross themselves, a theater of complicity. And when the judge turns to you and asks, "Have you anything to say?" it is not an offer of mercy. It is a cue for the final act. You may speak. You may plead. You may scream curses or whisper prayers. It will change nothing. The words will be twisted before they reach the crowd. "See how she blasphemes," they will say. Or, "See how the devil holds her tongue." In this final hour, you have no voice. And then the procession begins. You are led to the pyre, a grotesque parody of a bridal march. The onlookers crowd closer, jostling for a better view. The children are lifted on his shoulders, the old lean on canes, eyes bright. Vendors hawk roasted chestnuts and ale, the better to enjoy the show. For here, the execution of a witch is not tragedy, it is holiday. The pyre is not high. Wood is dear, but high enough. The ropes that bind you are coarse, cutting into raw flesh. Around your feet, the kindling is piled with grim care. You can smell the resin, the fat-soaked rags tucked to ensure a quick catch. And when the torch is brought forth, there is no solemnity. The guards may smirk. The inquisitor may murmur a prayer. The crowd may cry justice. But beneath it all lies hunger, a hunger for heat, for spectacle, for the purge of fear. And as the flames lick upward, the crowd leans in. They watch for the signs, the shriek, the thrashing, the moment when flesh blackens and splits. Some will swear they see shapes in the smoke, demons fleeing your burning body. Others will claim they hear voices, the devil calling his servant home. Every crackle, every pop of bone is taken as proof. And you, in these final moments, may find a cruel clarity that the truth never mattered, that innocence is no shield, that virtue is no defense, that the village needed a witch and you were convenient, that long after your ashes scatter, the hunt will continue. Another will be named. Another pyre will be built. The machine must be fed. And as your voice is lost to the roar of the fire, you may think, with the last bitter dregs of thought, that perhaps the devil would have been a kinder master than these pious wolves. For in this world, the final hour is not an ending. It is a warning written in flame, and the village will watch, and the children will remember, and the pyre will be rebuilt. And now, at the end of it all, if you still harbor some faint, stubborn notion that there was a path you could have walked to safety, abandon it. There is no safe path. There never was. The village is a trap without exit, a stage set for a play whose ending is always the same. The woman burns, whether young or old, married or maiden, healer or simple housewife, silent or outspoken. It matters not. The script is written, the roles assigned, the flames prepared. The only question is when your turn comes. You could have kept no cat, gathered no herb, worn no bright color, spoken no clever word, and still the eye would have turned to you. You could have prayed daily, served humbly, bent your back to every burden, and still the whispers would have grown. You could have fled to the forest, taken vows in a distant convent, vanished from the village, and still the name would have followed you. For the hunt is not about what you do. It is about what they need. And what they need is simple. Someone to blame. The harvest fails. A witch did it. The pox spreads. A witch did it. A man's pride is wounded. A child sickens. A storm drowns the fields. The answer is always the same. The village breathes in fear and breathes out accusation. It is the rhythm of their life, as sure as the tolling of the church bell. And the inquisitor? He does not seek truth. He seeks confession, spectacle, the affirmation of his own piety and power. His questions are snares, his tests are traps. His mercy is a mask. Once your name is spoken, the wheel turns and grinds, and nothing you do or say can stop it. Your innocence will be used against you. Your protest will be read as arrogance. Your silence will be called cunning. The flames do not care why they are lit, only that they burn bright. Nor will the village mourn you. Oh, they will cry and cross themselves when your ashes scatter, but not for you. For themselves, they will weep with relief that it was not their name called, not their child dragged screaming from the crowd, not their house marked for search. And beneath their prayers will lie a darker satisfaction, the balance restored, the hunger fed for now. And so you must see this world as it is, a place where no precaution can save you. No caution is enough. To live is to be vulnerable. To speak is to be heard. To remain silent is to be noticed. The net is woven of smoke and shadow, and it catches all in time. And if you think to rise above it, to speak the truth boldly, to call out the madness, that is the swiftest road to the stake of all. The village fears what it cannot control, what it cannot understand. And the woman who dares to defy the script is the one they burn first. So remember this. Should you wake one day beneath this grim sky, in this bleak and breathless place, there is no safe path. There is only the waiting, the watching, the long, slow tolling of the bell toward your final hour. And when the flames rise, the village will sigh and say, "It was necessary. It was just." And then they will look for the next. Because in the world of the witch hunt, there is always a next.